think drinking to a drunk or an alcoholic is a way to solve an issue. You know, like if you're hungry and you eat a whole lot, you solve the issue. You know, like, I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat this whole thing of lunch meat, and I solve the issue. I won't be hungry for a while, even though you only need half the lunch meat, right? So that's a problem too, with like overeating, right? We all have that problem. Everybody, almost. A lot of people have it under control. But a drunk will have 3 or 4 beers, and they don't crave any more alcohol until they drink the next beer. You know, it's like eating a whole bag of chips, and you're an overeater. You know, you solve the issue of hunger. If you're a drunk and you thirst after alcohol, you have your 4 or 5 beers at one time, and you only needed 1 or maybe 2 at the most. You don't want that empty feeling in any aspects of your life. You want to be completely filled. Then the Bible talks about being a drunkard is a horrible sin. You know, it's a sin. Just like gluttony is a sin. You know, we sin every day. The problem with alcoholism is the way society looks at it. So you show up to work drunk, goodbye, we're letting you go, you know. But if you show up to work after eating 4 or 5 hamburgers, you're probably going to be okay, you know, even though they're both sins. Like, I ate 3 or 4 hamburgers and went to work today. I wasn't hungry at all. Nobody said anything. But if you have 3 or 4 or 5 beers and you show up to work, goodbye, don't come back. It's harder. But they get to the point, is what I'm saying. It's kind of weird. I know it doesn't make sense to an alcoholic. It does. They solve the issue of their addiction by filling themselves with beer. If it's beer. You know, if it's beer, the issue. Now, some go to other extremes, and they don't last as long. But beer is seen as almost kind of like a food. I don't hate you, alcoholic. I care for you. I love you. I think you're a cool person. I think you need help. I've gone through all kinds of addictions. I was on everything, you know. A little bit of Prozac, a whole lot of Zoloft, a whole lot of lithium tabs, like basically lithium, for 6 years straight, full dose, 300 milligrams both ways. Depakote, you know, Halidol, try a little bit of Xanax, and we did it all until finally I said, okay. And I talked to the doctor. I said, well, can we take a break, you know? But now what I deal with, I don't smoke, I don't drink, only on a blue moon. I'll celebrate sometimes with a little vodka and a little cranberry juice, or I'll get a Aqua Velva. Very rarely. I think since I've been with Linda, maybe 5, 6, 7 times over a period of about 4 years. But rarely do I ever touch alcohol. Over a period of 4 years or 3.5 years, only 4 or 5, maybe 6 drinks. That's not that many. But she goes every day and gets it from the grocery store. They usually go to the grocery store because they get a better deal. The guy I talked to, and he's a cool guy. He's been in the service for 13 years. He says it's a 90% chance that they'll go back to the alcohol. They have a 10% chance of beating it. The odds are very kind of slim, you know. Better than me becoming a movie star, though. The odds are better. 10%'s good, as opposed to 1 in a million. Clean and sober is the way to go. best way is cold turkey. You take some turkey, most likely a turkey that's already been butchered. If you take a live turkey, I pray for you. But if you put it in the refrigerator, it's cold, and then you nibble on the cold turkey every once in a while. Cold turkey. A lot of them think, oh, I thought you meant wild turkey. Nope, we meant cold turkey, not wild turkey. You said wild turkey! No, I didn't. I said cold turkey. It's a cold turkey. So I got a real turkey. I put it in the refrigerator. Nothing happened. I let it out. The turkey's running around. They go like, ee, 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 ee. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Nope, cold turkey. It's an old school joke. Oh, dear. So how it usually, y'all know how it works. I don't want to explain the whole thing about payment plans and stuff. Something you just ask questions about. It's private issues. I've told you a lot about my life because I love you guys. Going through downtown Fort Worth, small little town that I happened to be born. I was born here. I've been through all kinds of trouble. When I was in my early 20s, I had some mental problems, and I had to go in and out of certain facilities like JPS and stuff until we finally went to trial over it all. And anyway, that was another time in my life when I was younger. I really, at one time in my life, did not know exactly who I was, like literally, until I had to figure that out. And then they let me out, and then I got put on outpatient thing for about 6 weeks or so, maybe. And then that went on off and on for a year or two, and it just became kind of a norm, crazy Cole kind of thing. But that's just their opinion. I don't really know if I was really crazy when they got me, supposedly when I was crazy. I wasn't really doing any harm. I was just talking weird. I was saying like good is good equally, and doing this weird kind of thing. Just didn't make a whole lot of sense, so they were worried about me. And my voice inflection didn't sound like Cole. It sounded like Gandhi. I sounded like Gandhi. What do you want me to do? I was also coming out of a bad breakup with a college girl that played Stella, and I played Stanley. It may have been some kind of thing that went on in my psyche. I had to deal with it a certain way. I guess I fell deeply, or had deep infections. Like when you're infatuated with somebody, you put them on a pedestal. You see them as this beautiful angel, that kind of thing. I had asked her if she was an angel. That was that kind of infatuation. And I think it just put me in kind of this, she called me a robot boy for a while. I did the robot, and they didn't like that. So I had to go through a lot of stuff. And maybe this is me being comfortable with maybe getting attention, or I don't know. I'm 50 years old. It's out of my character. It's not something that I would do, really. Go and take a tip jar. It's kind of embarrassing. But I wanted to see Linda, and I didn't know that there was a lot of different ways I could have made money. I was stuck with Favor, and Favor was something that I felt that there was the only thing I could do. I guess that's kind of the mental illness of it. It was that I felt trapped in only Favor, and there's other jobs, there's other things I could have done. I just needed to get ahead or something, like really quick or something, in my mind. Now, whether it really was done for the show and it was like a method kind of thing, we don't always know that. I think sometimes those things are weird with performers. And yes, it did get attention, and yes, it did go viral, and so there could be a, God-inspired thing there. It is something maybe. Knoxville wouldn't do that. He would do something stupid like getting a shopping cart and go down the sidewalk, even though it's not really completely legal, but it's not really a moral issue on Johnny Knoxville, He might do something so stupid. Like, now Harmony Korine would, okay? Harmony Korine, he asked people to fight him, started fights. It was called Fight. I haven't seen the footage, and someone broke his leg or his ankle or something. Harmony Korine might have done something like that maybe, but that's fighting that he did, But it angered the guy so much that he fought me, meaning he held me down. It's kind of a Korine move. So, hey, I read in this acting book about method actors and stuff is they do consciously, and it was consciously done, what most people do unconsciously every day. It's called verisimilitude. So they're consciously creating verisimilitude, while other people just do it every day and they don't think about it, I don't know if it was coming out of something like that, some kind of weird psyche thing. You could say the same thing about Robert Downey Jr. and his problem. But look what Robert Downey Jr. Learned, about his problem, his problem dealing with legality, right? Because his addiction dealt with legality. It became a legal issue where it was a problem of the state of Los Angeles and versus Robert Downey Jr. This would have to do with heroin and things like that. That was what Robert Downey Jr. went through, right? He went through a legal thing that he had to go through. It happens to actors, and in this situation, I think it might have a little bit to do with my problem when I told the cops at the time that were there at the scene. It's known as identity crisis. They call it identity crisis, but it wasn't really in my character, But then again, I'm aware, at the most in my mind, I guess I was thinking, well, I could help Linda or something crazy. It was a sick thing. Just like when Winona went around and started cutting tags off mink coats and flinging them over her shoulder and grabbing jewelry. It was in her mind, the risk, and maybe there's an addiction there. And you could be addicted to gambling. Maybe certain people are addicted to petty theft, but you have to watch out, It happens to people. Listen, it might be caught up in addiction. All of this came from maybe addiction. Back whenever I was dropping LSD and doing ecstasy and I got away from that with the theater to become clean at the age of 17 going into 18. I got away from it, I escaped it. So it fills itself into another form of addiction. So it goes from one addiction to another addiction. My grandma felt, Granny Mitchell, Ann Mitchell, she felt it always is traveling through us. Maybe that's where the werewolf stuff, kind of cool right there. Maybe that's where the werewolf stuff comes from, maybe, It's one like addiction going into another form, right? Maybe a person is too cleanly. Maybe a person has to do certain things. Now, I was diagnosed with OCD at the age of 12. I didn't get into all of that. I didn't give them I didn't lay down on the ground in front of them and go, let's do a psychoanalysis. I just told them I had a problem with identity crisis at one point. And they kind of understood, The cops were professional about that stop. They knew that there was a problem. This is how we deal with the problem. You sign the ticket here. You don't have to sign. You criminal trespass. You want to sign here. I signed that. I understood. I'm not going to go back. I don't need to go back there. To that sandwich shop. It's a great little place, Galligaskins. It's famous now. But you learn what you can and you cannot do. I always tell Linda that there's things that you can do and there's things that you can't do. You know, we have to learn the boundaries of that to respect society. And I fell out of that and then fell back in it, you know. So we'll talk on October 10th. And there's there's other things too. I'm trying to slowly learn to be a father at the age of 50. I didn't have the kids until the age of 40, and it's been 10 years. My first son, who's David, is he's 9 years old. Haven't seen him. And he's going to turn 10 this summer. He'll be double digits. And the girl, she'll be 9 the same time. He'll be 9 at 1 month. And then she'll turn 9 years old. And then my littlest daughter will turn 6, you know. So I guess we'll follow this art path and pray. Linda and I pray together. And I ask you to pray for us. There's the Trinity. I do ask for prayer. And I'll pray for you too. We do pray for the world. We do pray for a better place. Please forgive me. And y'all have a good day. We're almost there. I'm gonna go talk to Linda and Kitty. You know, I met the guy that played Gandhi, Ben Kingsley. I got to see him live being interviewed by Lipton. He is kind of strange. I wouldn't lock him up, but he's a very unique individual, very much like Gandhi. Ben Kingsley. He's very unique. It's crazy. Isn't that crazy?